Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
At the National Civil Rights Museum, history moves us forward. The question remains, how does history move you?
Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom now.
Shinedown, Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right. I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from Midtown Manhattan, New York City. Bennett Doyle back in Memphis, producing the program inside the Bill Ford Tough studio. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you weren't expecting the Grizzlies to come into New York City and just run the New York Knicks off of the court, Midtown Manhattan, because that didn't happen. In fact, the opposite happened. It was a blowout, and the home team is the team that prevailed. It's a rough night to be a visitor inside Madison Square Garden, but I was there. I'll tell you what it's like to watch the Grizzlies lose by 37 on the road in person. I experienced that last night. We'll talk about it momentarily. First, so quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. When we finish this open, we're going to take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, the Miami Heat have reportedly lowered their asking price for Jimmy Butler, so his chaotic approach to the trade deadline seems to be working on some level. I'll ask Bennett how he thinks this whole situation is going to get resolved. We'll do that in the next segment. CBS Sports' Jerry Palm has updated his projected bracket for the 2025 NCAA tournament. I'll tell you where he's got Penny Hardaway's Tigers. We'll do that in about 20 minutes. Rhode Island coach Archie Miller struggled with math during a press conference yesterday. Hilarious moment. It went viral. I'll show it to you. We'll do that in just a bit. There's been an unfortunate turn. But it is a wild situation. There's been an unfortunate turn in the life of a man who was pardoned by President Trump just last week for his role in the riots at the Capitol back on January 6th. This man who was pardoned just last week, there's been an unfortunate turn in his life. The turn is that his life's now over. It's over. He was pardoned last week. He's dead this week. I'll tell you what happened a little later on in the show. Okay. And the Gulf of Mexico really is, for all intents and purposes, about to become the Gulf of America. Everybody laughed when this dude said he was going to do it, but pretty soon, like when you go to Google Maps, it's going to say Gulf of America, not Gulf of Mexico. It's wild out there. I'll tell you more about it during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carry out. We'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to. But I did want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies because Game 47 of Scheduled 82 was played last night here in Midtown Manhattan. Just like, about 20 blocks that way. It did not go well for the Grizzlies. I don't know if you heard. Final score, Knicks 143, Grizz 106. It was a beatdown inside MSG. I was there for the festivities, Bennett. So was Timothy Chalamet. I don't know if you saw who I was there.
I did.
I was there.
I saw who was there.
Timothy Chalamet was there. Please, if I missed somebody, you correct me.
Timothy Chalamet, Fat Joe, Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Judd Apatow, Ben Stiller. Yeah, it was a who's who last night.
Michael J. Fox was there.
Yeah, man.
There were a lot of us in attendance with billboards in Times Square. No big deal. But it was fun to be amongst other billboard people. I don't get to be around other people who are on billboards too often. Billboards in Times, like big billboards in Times Square and stuff. I don't get to be around folks like that very often, given where I live, and I don't get out much. But it was good to share that experience with Timothy and Ben and Adam and all the others. Fun night just to be around other billboard people.
I'm glad someone had fun.
It was not a fun game though, Bennett. It was a fun night, but it was not a fun game, at least not from the Grizzlies' perspective. Outscored by 10 in the third quarter, by 19 in the fourth, lost by 37, turned it over 26 times, 26 turnovers, only 21 assists. Jalen Wells couldn't make a shot. John Morant finished a team low minus 41. Jaren Jackson Jr. was minus 33. Was it as ugly on TV as it was in person? Because, buddy, Bennett, I'm telling you, it was ugly in person.
I mean, it was probably uglier on TV. I mean, like you said, at least you got to sit around like some stars and stuff like during the whole deal. But no, it was.
It was me amongst fellow billboard people: Timothy, Ben, Adam, Michael J. It was nice to be in fellow billboard people company.
Yeah, so that's good. No, dude, that was rough. I'm not gonna There's a lot of dramatics last night. After that loss, and I think rightfully so. Like that was pretty concerning. Again, we talk about a lot on this show. Like I'm not gonna sit here and freak out over a loss to a really good team on the road, but. Yeah, because again, they could turn around and win the Rockets game on Thursday, and everybody's fired up again. But there are definitely some concerns, I think, about just the state of this team against good teams. How about that?
Well, we went through it a few weeks ago, where the Grizzlies' record is good, but the Grizzlies' record against the top teams in the West isn't great. In fact, it's bad. And if you're somebody who grabbed that and then held on to the idea that, sure, the Grizzlies might be third in the West and fifth best record in the NBA, but what's the record against good teams? Is this really the type of team that you think is going to consistently, in best of 7 series, going to be able to beat good teams? Because I got news for you, buddy. You don't get to play the Jazz in the playoffs. You don't get to play the Nets in the playoffs. That might be good news. You don't get to play the Nets in the playoffs because they've been a problem for us this season. But, you're playing nothing but, or at least almost nothing but good teams once you get into the playoffs, and the Grizzlies have not been great against those teams. So if you're somebody who held on to that and you're like, all right, cute little win on Friday, cute little win on Saturday, but now you're going to play another team that's won 30 games, another team that people say is a contender. Let's go see what you do there. If you're somebody that held on to that, well, they did go lose by 37 last night. They got wiped off the floor last night. And so if you're somebody who has been, banging your fist on the table, screaming, you guys can keep saying they're good, but I keep watching them play good teams, and they don't look good more often than not against good teams. Well, last night was an interesting night for you because you've got more ammo to put in that gun.
And I would say, it's not just good. They haven't looked good against the top teams in the league. I think that's more of a fair assessment because dude, they just won 6 in a row. I mean, and granted, Utah and New Orleans suck, but we don't think Minnesota and San Antonio suck. They've beaten teams that are good teams. They're just not beating the teams that are at the top of these conferences.
Well, if you want to,
and if you want to advance, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to win a championship, eventually you got to beat them.
That's right.
You got to beat somebody
That's right.
like them. You're not going to get to play best of 7 series against a bunch of mediocre teams. Eventually, you're going to run into somebody that other people say is a contender, and you got to beat them more often than they beat you. And the Grizzlies have struggled with that this season, and last night was not a good night in that regard. It is interesting because typically I watch Grizzlies games. I watch them with my family. I watch them by myself, and that's the extent of it. I'm not sitting with Vernon every game watching. I'm not sitting with you every game watching. I'm not in a bar every night among fans watching. I watch them with my family or I watch them by myself. But last night I was at the game, and as we had joked about earlier in the week, Wally Szczerbiak I've been working with Wally for 15 years, and he does pre and post and halftime for Knicks games. Same way Vernon does pre-post and halftime for Grizzlies games, right? He's like the Chris Vernon of Knicks broadcast, just a little taller, a lot taller, and with better looking and more athletic, a lot of stuff, right? But like he's the Chris Vernon of Knicks broadcast, so he has to go do pre and half and post. But we watched the game together. We sat in I'm just saying it because it's true.
Don't do this.
we sat in the towel suite.
Yeah.
It is wild, like just being around people. You realize how not successful you are.
Did Timothy come say hey to you guys?
No,
he
I
didn't.
Be clear, I didn't. I was nowhere close to Timothy Chalamet at any point in time. Bennett, you were maybe as close to Timothy Chalamet as I was. Okay, he was on the court and I was. If you're ever at Madison Square Garden and you're looking for the towel suite, just know it is at the top.
Got it.
It's at the very top of the Garden. Go to floor 9, and then floor 9 is the highest floor at the Garden, and you got to go there and then walk up a level of stairs. And so I was very far from Timothy Chalamet. But you do end up in just these weird circles. Like I meet some guy, and he's like, "Oh, so what do you do?" And we'd have that conversation. And then when somebody asks you, I don't just walk around like, "Hey, what do you do? What do you do?" It feels like you're testing everybody. But when somebody asks you, it's almost like they're freeing you up to ask them, or they either want you to ask them. They're like, "Please ask me what I do so I can tell you this amazing story." So the buddy was like, "What do you do?" And I tell him a version of what I do. And then I go, "So what do you do?" And I swear this is what he said. He said, Maxwell House? I said, "Like the coffee?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, of course." He goes, "Yeah, that's me."
He runs Maxwell House?
I mean, I didn't ask any more questions. I think it's his family. I think the guy's last name's Maxwell or something. I don't know. But it was like, I met him. I just figure if you can honestly say to another human, Maxwell House, that's me, then you're probably.
That's a flex.
See, I mean, for real, right? So
yeah.
you just end up talking to people who are involved in high stakes coffee business in the world. It's you start feeling good about yourself, and you realize, man, I don't own a coffee company. I'm doing okay, but I ain't own a coffee company. I don't own Folgers. So the towel suite was an interesting place. Here's the point. I'm sitting with Wally Szczerbiak. Wally obviously covers the NBA, covers college basketball, mostly covers the Knicks. Doesn't watch the Grizzlies a lot. He's aware of the star power of Ja Morant. He actually loves Santi Aldama. But he doesn't watch the Grizzlies a lot. And it is interesting to watch a Grizzlies game with people when you're not used to doing that, but with also people who aren't used to watching Grizzlies games. So they're watching and then they want to ask you questions about what they're seeing. So what do you think? Wally Szczerbiak was sitting there watching the game. What do you think the first thing he asked me about the Grizzlies was as this game was unfolding?
Oh, man.
Because it's interesting, because you'll like this, or you won't like it, but it's interesting. We're watching the game, just two co-workers watching just a Grizz employee and a Knicks employee just watching the Grizz and Knicks together. What do you think is the first thing he said? GP, what? Asked a question about the Grizzlies. What do you think the question was?
I'm gonna say something about Zach Edey. I'm gonna say something about Zach Edey, just because he's also a college basketball guy.
He did say this. He looks thinner up top. You and I have talked about this, how he's this big, imposing guy, but in person, he's thin. He's not bulky, and he's kind of thin through here. So he did mention Zach Edey's physique, but didn't. No, that's not it. That's not what we were talking about. he had something else. GP, why something about the Grizzlies?
Why is Ja Morant not having a huge game inside Madison Square Garden right now? I don't know.
No. That wasn't it. I'll help you. But Ja Morant was not good last night, and that was obvious.
No.
Here's what he said. GP, why do they play so many people?
Oh, okay. I should have thought of that.
So
this is go ahead, because I got something to say. Yeah.
What's interesting is this is a big complaint of some Grizzlies fans. Like, why are we playing all these people? Mm-hmm. Why doesn't Jaren play more? Ja play more? So here's Wally Zerbiak, who watches the Knicks every night and is suddenly watching the Grizzlies. And the first thing he notices about the Grizzlies is they sure do sub a lot.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
I think that's very interesting. Brevin actually said this on the broadcast last night at the end of that game, and talking about like when the postseason comes, you're just not going to be able to play that many guys. Like it's just not rotation shortened in the postseason. Like we see it every single year. What they're doing right now, it's just probably just not how it's going to be when they get in the playoffs, right? Just by default, because that's how it is with all teams in the playoffs. The rotation shortened.
I don't think there's any doubt the rotation will shorten in the playoffs. The question some fans would ask is, why is it what it is now?
Right now.
What Wally was wondering is, like, why is this happening? And I want to be clear. We're in a suite talking to people about Maxwell House. We don't have box scores in front of us. We're not looking at a computer screen. We're not watching every bounce of the ball. It's just like two guys sort of sitting there talking and watching a game and talking and watching a game. But he notices they sure are subbing a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's just not the way most NBA teams do it, and it's not the way the Knicks do it. For instance, the Knicks, the team he watches every night, all 5 Knicks starters are averaging at least 34.6 minutes per game, all 5. And nobody else plays more than 23.3. And only 10 dudes are averaging double figures in minutes per game. And one of those dudes is Landry Shamet, who has only appeared in 16 games. So for all intents and purposes, the Knicks play 9 people, and it is largely the 5 starters. Heavy minutes, 34.5 and up. All right? That's the Knicks. And that's a team that's very good, at Eastern Conference contender that just beat you by 37 last night. Meantime, no Grizzly player averages even 30 minutes per game. Desmond Bane is 29.9, but that's not 30.0. So when I say no Grizzly is averaging 30 minutes per game on the season, it's true. Might not be true after Thursday night, but it's true right now. The Grizzlies have 13 players who have appeared in at least 18 games and are averaging at least 12 minutes per game. 13. So it's not hard to spot. You don't have to be paying too close attention to know that this team is subbing more often than its opponents and using a bigger rotation than its opponents more often than not, nearly without exception. It was true again last night. And I know that some of the mindset behind it is play at a faster pace. The offensive numbers are top 5 in the NBA. So you can't say they can't be an efficient offense at this pace. They're doing it, even if the turnovers are a problem, and we'll get to that. But it's never as simple as anybody makes it out to be, but on a list of pros and cons of playing this many people and playing this fast, playing at this tempo, is in theory it should pay off for you late in games, pay off for you late in the season, pay off for you in the playoffs, fresher legs, all that stuff. And it might later in the season, I can't speak to that because we ain't there yet. It might in the playoffs, I can't speak to that, we ain't there yet. It's not paying off in the games. Like like if we play fast and limit Ja to 27 minutes, then the Knicks won't be able to run Jalen Brunson out there as much as they want to. Well, yes, they will, and yes, they do, and they're going to blow you out in the third quarter and then make it even worse in the fourth. So if playing all of these people isn't actually doing at least one of the things it's supposed to do, which is get the other team's best players off the court, or at least make them tired where they can't compete with your fresh starters down the stretch. If it's not really accomplishing either one of those things, is it something that needs to be considered? That's what some Grizzlies fans would argue. And it was interesting that that is the first impression Wally Szczerbiak had last night.
I think it's a reasonable observation too. I think a lot of people are noticing that. For me, I know that they were getting blown out, and so yeah, Ja's not going to play heavy minutes like when you're down 20 something or whatever in the fourth quarter, whatever. I think the one concerning thing for me just is when you look at, again, I know you said he was a minus 41 last night. Ja hasn't scored 30 points in a game since that Boston game. That's like the big signature win of this season, right, at Boston on December 7th. And he's been in and out right a lot this season, so whatever. Like you want him to be able to find a rhythm in the second half of the season, but he's one of the stars of the league, man. Like I think we've come to expect to see him put up big numbers. And again, I know different offense, equal opportunity offense, a lot of guys touching the ball, a lot of, you talked about the rotations, but like for me, that's just something that I want to see change going forward, is just him having huge games. Like that's, he's a star, right? Like you want to see him have massive games. And I think that's one thing that you saw last night, and you're just like, dang, because I think going into the game, I sat here yesterday and was like, oh, it's Ja in the Garden. Like this, I think we got a chance to see something awesome tonight. And he only had 10 points, so I think that's a concern. Yeah,
I think there's an argument to be made, or at least a question to be asked about whether any offense that doesn't involve Ja Morant with the ball in his hands and a ball screen, if that's really the best offense you could run. That's something worth asking. He's not getting as many ball screens as he used to get. And they're obviously playing different. And on one hand, it's a top 5 offense in the NBA.
That's right.
So what are we talking about? But on the other hand, it is not maximizing the talents of your best offensive player. So how do you chop that up? On one hand, Bennett, you could tell me the offense needs to be adjusted because it's not maximizing Ja Morant. And any offense that doesn't maximize Ja Morant needs to be adjusted. And I could counter that by telling you, Bennett, it's a top 5 offense in the world. Offense is not the problem. And if you wanted to counter that, you know what you'd say? How do we know it couldn't be top 2 if you're playing a different way? Like, just because it's top 5 doesn't mean it's as good as it could be. It's really good. Top 5's great. But what if it could be better? Slowing down, tinkering with this, abandoning in that in certain spots. These are just all conversations that, frankly, any coaching staff should be having at any point in the season, but it's especially a conversation worth having in Memphis because there's been a lot of mornings where we come back here and we're like, Ja Morant wasn't this, that. He hasn't been the same offensive player this season. Some of that is because he hasn't been consistently available, I assume, but some of it is they're asking him to do different things than he's ever been asked to do. And he can still be great, and they can still be great, but are you maximizing Ja Morant playing the way that you play? I think that's a decent and totally reasonable question to ask. Now for the turnovers, because this is the second observation Wally had, even well before they got to 26. My God, they throw the ball away a lot. That's what he said. They do not take care of that thing because it was just one turnover after another. 26 turns, 21 assists, and now on the season, their offensive turnover percentage is 16.1. That's tied for 26th in the NBA with Brooklyn. So the 5 worst teams in the NBA in offensive turnover percentage are the Nets, Clippers, Blazers, Jazz, and Grizzlies. Do you know how hard it is to be this good when you're turning the ball over that much? It's almost impossible. The idea that the Grizzlies are 31-16 turning the ball over this much is insane because none of the other teams that turn the ball over this much are anywhere close to this. Like they're tied for 26 with the Nets in offensive turnover percentage. Mm-hmm. The Nets are 14-33. So then you go to the Clippers, which equates to 28th in the league, offensive turnover percentage. They're 26-20. They're not bad, but they're not 31-16. The Blazers are 29th in offensive turnover percentage. They're 17-29. The Jazz are 30th last in offensive turnover percentage. They're 10-34 on the season. So the four teams that are either as bad or worse as the Grizzlies at turning the ball over have a combined record this season of 67-116. The Grizzlies are 31-16. It is hard to win this many games turning the ball over that much. So it's a testament that they're doing other things well. It's still a top 10 defense and a top 5 offense in the sport. But it doesn't make it any less frustrating to watch. I can give you all the numbers to tell you things aren't as bad as they looked last night or felt, but that doesn't mean that, for 48 minutes last night, that was pretty miserable to be a Grizzlies fan. It's one thing when you're just missing three-pointers. The Celtics can go through that. The Thunder can go through that. Anybody can go through that. But when you're just giving the ball away over and over, I don't care if the bottom line is still good. That's a hard thing to watch if you like watching basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like, it was, I think part of the offense is that with them playing this pace that they're playing at, right, they're probably going to turn the ball over more than they're going to have more turnovers because of the fast pace that they play. I think we acknowledge that. But, like, I agree with you. Like, you watch it last night, and it's like every other possession. Like,
because just to be clear, and I know you know this, but it's not just raw turnover numbers that are the byproduct of them playing fast. When I'm talking offensive turnover percentage, that's just a percentage of the possessions. Basically, what that means is, 16 out of every 100 possessions, they're just handing the ball to you, and that's not good.
Yeah. That was a rough night in MSG last night, man. Again, like, I think it's totally reasonable for us to come in here and people to like have concerns after watching that last night, because again, they got blasted last night. Knicks put up 143 points on them in that win. But again, like, I think it's also fair to be reasonable and say, hey, look, it's one game, and if they go get a big win against Houston on Thursday night on national TV, everybody's going to the next day be fired up again. So
that's right.
Last night was rough, but hopefully it's not a sign of things to come.
Last night was rough for the Grizzlies inside Madison Square Garden. You know where else it was rough? TD Garden.
Yeah. Yep.
I know you had
I watched
Rockets
man.
plus the points.
Yep.
I told you we were going to be on different sides because I was one to.
Did y'all see Dylan?
I wanted to be alone in second place in the West. Right?
I did too. GP, I did too. Not
and
today.
Then the Grizzlies
not today.
couldn't handle their business at Madison Square Garden, and then the Rockets went to TD Garden and upset the Celtics. And so now there's even more separation. But I got a plan, Bennett. Don't worry. I've always got a plan.
What's your plan?
Here's the new plan. Got an updated plan. I wanted to, be alone in second right now. That's how I wanted to spend January 28th. Pretty clear I'm not going to be able to spend January 28th that way. So now, new plan, updated plan. The Rockets are in Atlanta tonight.
Okay.
Let's let them lose there.
Second night of a back-to-back. Okay.
Let's let them lose there.
Atlanta's not very good.
Bennett, be optimistic.
Okay, I am. All right, I am. Okay.
I am tired of always having to be the positive one on this show.
All right. Here we go. All right, second night of a back-to-back. Okay, for Houston. Got it.
Let's let them go lose in Atlanta. All right. Let's get a number on that game right now. The Rockets are 6.5-point favorite. So
I told you Atlanta wasn't very good.
I know, but we're trying to be optimistic, Bennett.
I got it.
I'm tired of always having to bring the positive outlook to Grind City Media.
Okay, I'm good. Come on, Trey. All right, come on.
All right. The Rockets going to lose tonight in Atlanta.
Yep.
And then they're going to lick their wounds, because I think that's what you're supposed to do with wounds is lick them.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what they say? Do you lick your wounds?
Yeah, you lick your wounds.
Would you lick a wound? Have you ever licked your own wound?
Yeah, man.
You've licked a wound?
Hell yeah.
When's the last wound? When's the last time you
ain't a man if you ain't never tasted your own blood before.
I've tasted my own blood.
Yeah.
You lick a wound. If you were wounded right now, you would lick it, you think?
I mean, it depends on how bad the wound is, but if it's just a little like scrape or something like that, just put a little spit on that thing. Yeah.
I think it's more appropriate to lick a scrape than it is to lick a wound. I could lick a scrape. I'll even lick a kid's scrape, like my own kids. I want to be clear about that. My own kids.
Yeah.
Like, my own kids. I ain't going down like that. I mean, like, sometimes you got to kiss it and make it better, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've told your boys that, haven't you, Bennett? Hey, let me kiss it and make it better,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
I think licking a scrape is more appropriate than a wound. A wound sounds like something you might need to go to the hospital for, right?
Yes.
Okay. Either way, here's what I hope. I hope the Hawks beat the Rockets tonight. The Rockets have to lick their wounds, come into FedEx Forum. They get John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. on Thursday night, and then we go to bed on Thursday night alone in second in the Western Conference standings. Took a little longer than we wanted it to, but we're still going to get what we're trying to get to, I say, by Thursday night. Can you see it? Are you with me?
Dylan Brooks did score 36 points last night, dude. I'm just
Bennett,
saying, like,
you're never going to get over Dylan Brooks.
Amen Thompson, like, that hurt my feelings, dude. That hurt my feelings watching that last night. And I know yeah.
My experience with relationships that end is that I understand it hurts at the beginning, but my experience is that by now you should be over it. By now, Bennett, you should have moved on. You should have moved on, Bennett.
I mean, he's got there in second place in the West.
I know. But
our two former friends are over there, and Dylan and Steve-O. Like, it hurts a little bit, man.
Why?
We got to beat them on Thursday.
Would you walk into one of your friends' homes and immediately start talking about how awesome their ex-wife is doing?
Probably not.
Then what are you doing right now?
I really want to beat them on Thursday, man. I think after last night, like, again, I said we're not going to overreact. Now I am going to overreact. Thursday feels like a really big game. It does. We need some positive vibes, bro.
I sat there last night with fellow Billboard people and watched the Grizzlies get their brains kicked in Midtown Manhattan. And then I got to come here on the following morning and listen to you tell me how great Dylan Brooks is doing.
He had 10 3-pointers last night, dude.
I hope I never get divorced. I hope to God I never get divorced. There'll be Bennett. Just he keeps sending me Instagram posts. You see how great your ex-wife's doing? See how well I know you ain't feeling so good this morning, GP, but let me tell you how great she is. Bennett, where's your heart? Where's your empathy?
Okay. I'm just licking my wounds, dude.
I understand you love Dylan Brooks, but we ain't got to talk about it all the time, okay?
Okay. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it on Thursday.
Okay. We'll see what happens on Thursday. But you make sure to give him a hug when you see him, okay?
Okay.
Hey, we're going to be alone in second by the end of Thursday night. I wanted it to be this morning, but just like Mick Jagger said, you can't always get what you want, right?
That's right. I
think that's what he said. Mick Jagger said a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He said a lot of stuff, but that's one of the things he said. Thursday night, TNT in town, Grizzlies Rockets inside FedEx Forum. Tickets available at Grizzlies.com. All seriousness, 2 Western Conference contenders on a Thursday night. Dylan Brooks back in FedEx Forum. It is a fun night. It'll be a fun night.
It is a massive regular season game. It just is. Like get out here. It's gonna be fun. It's a huge game.
Huge game. Thursday night inside FedEx Forum. Cannot wait. When we come back, turn our attention down to Miami. You think we got problems, Bennett? I know it feels like we got problems today. When you lose by 37 on a Monday night, it feels like you got problems on a Tuesday night.
Sure.
But guess what? We ain't got Miami's problems. We ain't got their problems.
It appears we do. No. It's getting wild. It's getting wild, yeah.
He just walked straight out of shoot around. He just said the hell with it. He just quit. It'd be like I just walked right out of the show right now. Just said, hey, I'm ready to do the show. I'm here. And then I just said, you know what? Never mind. I'm gone. Wild deal. I'll get you updated on that situation. Plus, Jerry Palm got his updated bracket, CBSSports.com. Where's he got Penny's Tigers? I'll tell you. We'll do it after the break. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted wanted home crowd involvement?
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Anticipate each challenge. Make a quick response. Capitalize on every opportunity. And win. Greatness won't wait. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
It's your turn to drive into luxury at Southland Casino Hotel. Join us on Saturdays to win your share of up to $1 million in free play and prizes. And don't miss the chance to take home luxury itself during the grand finale drawings. Drive off in a 2025 Land Rover on February 1st or a 2025 Range Rover on March 1st. 2 vehicles, 2 finales, 1 million ways to enjoy luxury only at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 or up. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled. And Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. That's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now, I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
The Miami Heat have suspended Jimmy Butler without pay for an indefinite period of time after the disgruntled star walked out of practice on Monday. The team has announced it's the 3rd time Butler has been suspended by the Heat in recent weeks. The trade deadline can't get here quick enough. It's February 6th, Bennett. How do you think this Jimmy Butler Miami Heat thing is going to get resolved?
Wow. Well, I don't think he's going to play for the Miami Heat anymore.
I think that's
I'll
done.
start there.
I'm with you. I don't think he ever is in a Miami Heat uniform again.
No, because they've clearly shown they're fine just suspending him the whole season. Like anything he does to kind of, go against them in the public eye, they're going to find a reason to suspend him. So I think that even if they don't want to move him, they will play that game the rest of the season. So I'll start there. I really don't know. Because I think that the way this is going down, and there was the report from, I believe, Brian Windhorst saying that the asking price, now Miami's asking price has now gone down after all of this. I don't think they're just going to give him away for nothing. And I do wonder if you're going to get into kind of standoff situations with teams that would like to acquire Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, because if I was an opposing team who wants to acquire Jimmy Butler, of course I'm probably sitting here we'll give you something, we ain't gonna give you much, but we'll take him. We'd like to have him, but we're not going to give you the farm to acquire Jimmy Butler at this point.
This has been a big topic of conversation in Memphis because the Grizzlies have been linked to Jimmy Butler. Just the idea of it. It makes sense on some level. And then it gets more attention because reportedly Jimmy Butler's people have made it clear to the Grizzlies and to the Heat, he does not want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't. And on one hand, or at least at one point, there was an argument you could make sort of tied to the idea of, Okay, he doesn't want to be in Memphis. So what? We don't want him in Memphis long term anyway. So we could do a deal for him, whether he wants to be here or not. Kawhi Leonard didn't want to be in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So we could still bring him here and just say, hey, listen, man, we know you don't want to be here, and we don't plan on you being here long. So now you're playing for your next contract? Let's go play. We can both benefit from this. Our franchise can win a championship, and you can rehab your image and get the contract you think you deserve, and we can all get something out of this. So let's work together and get this done. And that would be how you would smooth that over. Jimmy Butler doesn't want to be in Memphis. Well, so what? We'll smooth it over. The same way Toronto smoothed it over with Kawhi. The problem is that Jimmy Butler's not Kawhi. And I think once Kawhi went to Toronto, he was like, I don't want to be here, and I'm not going to be here long. But while I'm here, I'm going to play, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to help you win. I cannot trust that Jimmy Butler would do that. Can you? I can't trust it.
I don't.
Because
I mean, I've seen him just carry teams through the playoffs, man.
You know what you've also seen? This multiple times. Him raising hell and causing problems when it makes no sense to people like you and I. All right? So the argument in favor of Jimmy Butler would be like, well, okay, he's pissed off in Miami and he doesn't want to be in Memphis, but once he's in Memphis and it's just done and there's nothing he can do about it, well, then what are his options? I mean, then you just got to play, right? I mean, that's what I would do, and that's what you would do. But how do you know that's what he'll do? How do you know he just won't walk out of shoot around in game 74 of the season? How do you know he can't get just as mad in Memphis as he is in Miami, as he was in Philadelphia, as he was in Minnesota, as he has been everywhere?
It is.
I just wouldn't trust it.
I agree with everything you just said. I will say, like, I do think if you didn't have to give up a lot, bring him in and put him on this team, and he was, positive about it and actually like ready to play and be a part of the team, I think like the sky is the limit for this team at that point. Like, I really believe that. I think a lot of people believe that. But again, it's a very big if. So it'd be a huge risk, but I do think that there is a potential massive reward there.
There is undeniably a potential massive reward, particularly if the price is coming down. What that suggests is you wouldn't have to give up for him even what you were maybe willing to do a week ago.
Yeah, can I
get it done now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, Bobby Marks just put out like all the hypothetical trades for Jimmy Butler. Okay, and obviously the Grizzlies are a part of that, and he gets into how they were trying to acquire Dorian Finney-Smith. The Lakers came in and got him, and what they were potentially offering for Dorian Finney-Smith. Here's what Bobby Marks laid out as a potential Jimmy Butler move for the Grizzlies. It would be a 3-team trade. Memphis gets Jimmy Butler. Miami gets Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark, John Conchart, 2025 top 14 protected first-round pick. Toronto would be the other third team. They would receive Luke Kennard, a second via the LA. That's the Grizzlies' second from the Lakers, and cash considerations. Like that, I think that's given up quite a bit. I think that trade just on the surface is a pretty big risk if you're the Grizzlies. Like, you're giving up big-time rotation guys, especially in Luke and Brandon Clark. But again, the reward could be
okay.
Yeah.
So let me talk through this. There's obviously the potential for everything. You could do a Jimmy Butler deal, and it could result in an NBA title. It could result in a parade in Memphis. That is not hyperbole. If Memphis did a Jimmy Butler trade, and there were smart NBA people on ESPN the next morning, and they believed that Jimmy Butler wouldn't be a problem in Memphis, they could then reasonably tell you the Grizzlies could win the NBA championship. All right? So that's the upside with doing a Jimmy Butler deal. It could quite reasonably lead to an NBA title. All right? It could be your Kawhi Leonard story. More likely it won't. All right? And either way, this is my point. I don't know if I can trust it. Like, if you told me right now, GP, I can see into the future, Jimmy Butler doesn't want to be here, but if you bring him here as a rental, he will be on his best behavior. you will get the best version of Jimmy Butler. Now, I can't promise you what that means in terms of wins, losses, how deep you go into playoffs. I can tell you, though, Jimmy Butler will not be a problem. He will be on his best behavior. He will be the best teammate. He will be the best competitor. I can't tell you where the season goes, but I can tell you that's who you're getting when you trade for Jimmy Butler. Now I'm ready to talk. Okay, let's talk about it. All right. Now, I might want to take this player out and put this player in, take this pick off the table, put this pick on the table. But now I'm ready to talk about it. The problem for me at this point is I can't trust that. I'm not even at the point anymore where I'm seriously thinking about what would I give up for Jimmy Butler, as much as I'm at a point where I go, I don't know that I'd give up anything for Jimmy Butler, because no matter what you give up for him, what you're getting is an unpredictable Jimmy Butler. You can say, well, he'll have to be on his best behavior because he's playing for a contract. He doesn't have to be on anything. This guy is a different deal. Just because you would be on your best behavior if you were in a contract year doesn't mean that he will. He's quite literally in a contract year right now. He's not on his best behavior. Just because you think it's crazy to give up $500,000 every game, because it is crazy, that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing right now. He's doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff right now. He's doing a whole bunch of stuff that sensible people wouldn't do right now on principle. You could admire him for taking a stand if you want to, but if he'll take a stand on this stuff, he'll take a stand on anything. He's taken stands everywhere he's ever been. I just don't know if I want to be involved in that, particularly when I believe you got a good thing going. If you promise me Jimmy Butler's going to be, I'm listening. I don't think you can promise me that. In fact, I know you can't promise me that. So I don't trust it, and I'm not interested, almost regardless of the price. I'm not interested in dealing with this anymore. Somebody else can do a Jimmy Butler deal, and I wish him luck. At this point, I don't think if I'm the Grizzlies, I'm even thinking about it too much. But we'll see. Trade deadline's February 6th.
Man. Number 2.
Jerry Palm has updated his projected bracket for the 2025 NCAA tournament, CBSSports.com. Did you see where he's got Penny Hardaway's Tigers, Bennett?
I'm going to say Jerry has us sitting comfortably at a 5 seed. How about 5 seed?
5 seed is bing, bing, bing. You got it right. 5 seed right now in Jerry's projected bracket. First round game with a 12 seed, VCU. That would be your projected A10 champs. Winner of that game would go on to play probably 4 seed Wisconsin.
I don't like the 5-12. We got a lot of history with that 5-12. I don't like that.
5-12 is the upset pick, baby.
That's an upset pick. I don't like that. I want to be a 4. I want to be a 4.
Bennett, I want to be a 4 too.
Yeah.
But right now we're a 5. Listen, I'm not Jerry Palm. You're not Jerry Palm. We don't get to tell Jerry Palm what to do.
That's
right now, Jerry Palm has him as a 5. I would have him as a 4 right now.
Okay.
In my top 25 and 1, I've got Memphis as 15th. You do the math on that. That projects as a 4 seed. So I would have Memphis as a 4 seed right now if I were putting together a bracket. So they're in the range you want them to be at. But for these, how about if I told you this? Forget the seeds. This is what Jerry Palm has on his bracket right now. Memphis would probably need to beat VCU and Wisconsin to go to the Sweet 16 for the first time since John Calipari took them there in 2009. Would you take that right now? If I said, Bennett, forget the seeds. Here's what you will. Can you beat VCU and Wisconsin to go to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2009? Would you take that?
Okay, I'm going to say on a surface level, I'm just going to say yes. But is this your dad's Wisconsin? Like, are they going to drag this thing down in the mud?
Oh,
is this going to be?
Say that? It's not your dad would hate this version of Wisconsin.
Okay.
Or if your dad hated the old version of Wisconsin, would love this version of Wisconsin. No, Wisconsin, like they're playing faster.
Oh, let's go.
Ever.
Give me.
They're playing. Now they still don't play like fast.
We can play that game.
But they used to be among the slowest in the country. Now they're like middle of the pack, actually top half. Offensive rating in the top 10. Like they go out and score points now. They just beat Nebraska on Sunday with 83 points. Wisconsin's out there scoring. They're 16-4. They're good. I can tell you right now, on a neutral court, Wisconsin would be a slight favorite over Memphis. They just would. But does that scare you? VCU and Wisconsin to go to the Sweet 16.
I would for sure take that right now. Yeah, I think the Tigers could compete with both of those teams. Give it to me.
Yeah, I think I would take that now. I know that they'd be favored over VCU, slight underdog to Wisconsin, but I'd be willing to play those games. Let's go play those games. Now, to be clear, either one of them could beat you, but you could beat either one of them.
Okay.
And it's a reminder that the season's going well. It ain't over, and it can still go the wrong way if you take stupid loss here, stupid loss there. But right now they're in a good spot. I'd have them as a 4 seed. Jerry Palm's got them as a 5. Bracket updates every few days, so we'll keep checking in with it.
Number 3.
Wild moment, press conference. Archie Miller, the Rhode Island coach yesterday, he was just talking about stuff that he talks about. He, of course, used to be head coach at Dayton. That's where he had his most success. Then was able to get the Indiana job. It didn't go perfectly. They fired him. He got the Rhode Island job. And he's got Rhode Island in a pretty good place right now. They're not great, but they're not embarrassing. So anyway, he's talking about sort of narratives within the sport and how everybody says the SEC is the best league in the country, because it is. The reason everybody says it is because it's true. But he was just sort of discussing this, and here's what he said. See if you could spot the problem.
Okay. Well, I heard somebody say the other day, like, the SEC is the best league in the country, but in all games they're like 54-54. Somebody said that. I don't know if that's even accurate, but do you know how hard it is in every league, to win? It's just hard to win any game, and I think it's difficult.
So he notes there that SEC teams are 54-54, and he interprets that as how good is this league really? If your record's 54-54, well, he was quoting their league record, because SEC teams have a league record of 54-54. Do you know why that is, Bennett? And I'm not trying to catch you. I'll just tell you why that is. I'm not trying to create a moment.
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on here? You know I'm not good at this either.
I know, and that's why I was about to pop quiz you, and then I felt like that's picking on you. I know what you're strong. I know where your strengths are, and I know where your weaknesses lie. Math has shown itself to be a weakness.
Yeah.
Along with state capitals.
Yeah, although I've gotten better at those. Okay.
I know you're getting better. I know you're trying. I don't mean to not acknowledge the effort you're putting in. You got a map right behind you. I know you look at it every day.
Yeah.
I know you're trying. I appreciate the effort. I know you're getting better, and I know you're going to get there one day. You're going to be on the level of a 5th grader one day when it comes to state capitals. I'm certain of that.
Good.
So, the SEC is 54-54. How great is it? This is what Archie Miller was saying yesterday. The issue is that when a SEC team plays another SEC team,
they beat that SEC team.
There's a winner and a loser in every game. And if every single SEC game produces a winner and a loser, do you know what the SEC's record in conference is always going to be?
Yeah, there's going to be some balance there.
Exactly 500.
Yeah.
Just like every other conference's record. You ready? Let me tell you what the Big 12's record is in Big 12 games. 65-65.
Yeah.
Big 10, 84-84. Big East, 51-51.
It sounded good, Archie. It did. I was with you for a second.
Do you know the origin here? I can see how confused you are too. Do you know the origin here? Somebody was just goofing around on Twitter and tweeted, people keep saying the SEC is so good, but look at the record.
And he saw it and was like, oh, yeah. That's exactly what happened. Hey, he wouldn't be the first person who's been caught by something like that.
That's exactly what happened. He just saw something on Twitter and then just repeated it. It made himself look silly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like Vernon. I was in the studio with Vernon a few weeks ago, and Vernon was like, little baby, he graduated from Harvard. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I saw it on Instagram. I'm like, I don't want to doubt Lil Baby, but I doubt Lil Baby graduated from Harvard like Barack Obama graduated from Harvard. I doubt it's the same thing. And in reality, it was like he paid $10,000 and did like 2 classes and got something that says
like an honorary degree thing.
Something. But it's one of the. This was Archie Miller's version of that. Man, SEC 54-54. How good are they? Well, every time Tennessee plays Kentucky and Oklahoma plays, these are all SEC games. Somebody got to win, somebody got to lose. It's always going to be balanced. If it's not balanced, we got a numbers problem. It's always going to be a balance. It didn't mean what Archie thought it meant. If you're curious, the SEC on the season is 239-77. That's why it's the best league in the country, because there's literally nothing that would suggest otherwise.
Number 4.
You familiar with Matthew Huddle?
I'm not. No, we didn't cross paths. What's up with him?
I figured you guys are in a group text or something.
No.
You're not in a group text with Matthew Huddle?
I am not, no.
You ain't bumped into him on Reddit?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe we're on different servers. I don't know.
Okay.
Different threads.
I shouldn't be laughing this hard, okay? I know that. I shouldn't be laughing this hard about this story. But I can't help it.
Okay.
I know I shouldn't be laughing, but laughing is involuntary.
What happened?
Okay. So Matthew Huddle, he had been convicted for the role he played in the riots on January 6th.
Okay.
He had gone to the Capitol with his uncle and was inside the Capitol and outside the Capitol, and he was a Capitol stormer, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was identified by video, charged, prosecuted, convicted, and in jail, right?
Okay.
Well, you might have heard we got a new president.
Yeah.
He was the former president, and then he did a bunch.
He's not really new. He's just back.
Yeah, but he was the president. I think the way he was the president, and then he got impeached a couple times and convicted of felonies a bunch of times, and everybody was like, "Well, that's over. Couldn't possibly elect this guy." And then we elected him again. It's a wild situation. So he's the new president, and he said, campaign promise, he was going to look at pardoning these January 6ers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of how you feel about that, he did say he was going to do it, or at least consider doing it, and now he's doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you like people following through on their campaign promises, 1 point here, he's doing it. So he let this fella out of jail. All right, pardoned him. Now he's dead. Matthew Huddle was dead, got shot by the cops over the weekend.
What?
Was allegedly resisting arrest. Can you imagine being pardoned by the president and less than a week later you get shot by the cops?
Dude, I wouldn't leave my house. I'd feel like I have a new lease on life.
You would think so, right? Now,
I just want to go travel and stuff.
Now let me tell you what is the. I'm hesitant to say funniest because none of this is supposed to be funny. I think I've made that clear, right? But laughing is involuntary. So what do you want me to do?
Okay.
But I understand.
All right.
But here's the part that makes this. Let's say interesting, because I think interesting that's a safer word. Here's what makes this interesting. This buddy's lawyer, Matthew Huddle, had argued previously that he shouldn't be in prison for his role in January 6th because he was really just there with his uncle. He doesn't even really care about Donald Trump or election or anything. According to this man's attorney, he never deserved to be convicted of crimes connected to January 6th because he ain't the people you're looking for. And they said, well, then why was he there? And do you know what the lawyer said? Why he was there? Because they said, okay, buddy, you're trying to tell us guy doesn't love Donald Trump and he's not even that political. Well, then why was he at the Capitol on January 6th? And you know what the lawyer said?
Mm-hmm.
He was just with his uncle because he had just gotten out of jail and didn't have anything else to do.
Oh, God.
So here's the last 2 times this guy got out of jail. One time he decided to go to the Capitol on January 6th. And the next time he decided to allegedly argue with a cop and resist arrest in a way that left him shot and dead. Bennett, I don't know Matthew Huddle, but I'm starting to think he don't make good decisions.
No, it doesn't appear that way. Because, like I said, I was like, well, man, if I got a new lease on life, I'd want to, be in my best behavior and live like that. I said I wouldn't leave the house, but I'm not sure Matthew or people like Matthew think like that necessarily. There's a reason he went to jail in the first place.
So that's interesting because you do look at people like this and you go, all right, buddy, you were at the Capitol on January 6th, got caught, got convicted, got sentenced, and because America elected this guy, you actually get out of jail. This is amazing. Now all you have to do is not be an idiot. But he couldn't help himself. He could not be an idiot. You want to know why he could not be an idiot? Because he's an idiot. Because he was at the Capitol on January 6th. See, you're trying to tell somebody who was at the Capitol on January 6th not to be an idiot. But the problem is if you were at the Capitol on January 6th, you're probably an idiot. At least that's what most of the video I've seen suggest, right?
I think that's fair.
Not all. I'm comfortable with most. if you went to the Capitol on January 6th thinking an election was being stolen and you need to kill Nancy Pelosi and the Vice President of the United States, you're a wild fella. All right? Yes, idiot. If that's what you thought, idiot. All right? I'm comfortable with the word. So you're trying to tell Matthew Huddle, yo, buddy, you got a new lease on life. Don't be an idiot. But the problem is he wouldn't even been at the Capitol if he wasn't an idiot. He wouldn't even need a lease on life if he wasn't an idiot. So he got right out of jail and just got right back to being an idiot again. And if you're wondering who your president is letting out of jail, that's who it is. People like Matthew Huddle. Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, Matthew. Yeah.
Number 5.
The Gulf of Mexico is really about to be the Gulf of America. This is not even a joke anymore. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
So President Trump just all out of nowhere decides he's going to rename the Gulf of Mexico. And everybody laughs. Hillary Clinton literally laughing at the inauguration when he says, I'm going to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Everybody laughs. He's really doing it. And like when you go on Google Maps, as soon as it becomes official, it's just a paperwork thing at this point. It will be official soon. And when you go to Google Maps, when you start trying to find your vacation home down on 30A, when you go to Google Maps sometime soon, it's going to say Gulf of America on Google Maps. You'll be talking about going to vacation in the Gulf of America, according to Google Maps. He's really doing what he said he was going to do, Bennett.
I was looking at my map. Well,
yeah, I looked this morning. It's not updated yet, but Google has acknowledged.
Mine says Gulf of Mexico, the one behind me.
You're going to have to get an eraser or a marker.
You have to change it.
You're going to have to change that. What Google says is that their map will reflect where you live. So for Americans, very soon, if you Google Gulf of Mexico, it will flip to Gulf of America. You will then be looking at the Gulf of America. But if you live in Mexico, it will maintain Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, gotcha.
And you ready for this? If you live anywhere else in the world, it'll be called the Gulf of Mexico.
Well.
But in America, it will officially be the Gulf of America on Google Maps. We will be the only country in the entire world calling the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America.
Gotcha.
That's where we're at.
I mean, I'm patriotic.
I don't even care. I don't have strong feelings about it. I just didn't know we could do stuff like this. I
didn't know that you were able to do stuff like this either.
I just never thought about it. It's never once thought. It popped into my head like, why don't we just rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America? Or the Gulf of it, why don't we just rename it to something we want? Like in theory, you realize he could rename it the Gulf of Trump if he wanted to.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't.
I hope I didn't just give him that idea, because God knows, like if that pops into his head, he's probably going to at least think about it for a second. So I didn't even know you could do. I didn't even know you could do stuff like this.
Whatever. I think probably some bigger issues we should probably worry about, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, I hope I'm being clear. I don't really care what we call the Gulf of Mexico. I don't think. I just think it's hilarious that that's where we're at.
Yeah.
That's a headline in major media outlets today, that Google is going to change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America on your Google Maps, but only if you're in America. Literally everywhere else in the world, it will remain the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
But in the United States of America, it's the Gulf of America. Rest in peace to Matthew Huddle, you know?
He probably liked that news.
Oh, I trust that he loved it. That's probably the last great thing Matthew heard before he left this earth.
I think that's probably true.
If he was lying there with a bullet wound, it's probably like, well, at least they're going to be the Gulf of America.
Yeah.
You know? Then he probably said, like, make America great again.
Die a happy man now.
And then it was over. He died a happy man. I bet he died a happy man. He died doing what he loved.
That's
fighting with police. He died doing what he loved.
Oh, yeah, he did.
How many times in life you think you get to fight with police before it ends this way? Buddy went to the Capitol, fighting with police. Now he's trying to do it just like in the streets of wherever he was. Buddy,
oh, man.
That's why you know what happens when I get pulled over? You know what I do?
What?
Put my hands right here and I say, officer, just tell me what to do. All right?
Yeah.
Just tell me what to do. Then you got Matthew Huddle just a few years removed from Capitol storming, out there trying. He just got out of jail. Just got out of jail. First thing you did when you got out of jail is decide to fight a cop, allegedly. Woo! I don't think he makes good decisions.
No, he doesn't.
Rest in peace, though. Rest in peace. Be back with GP's Carryout.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GBWR.
Memphis Cat is back with his Heaven on Earth tour.
I tried to be incognito, but thanks to Shannon Sharp's loud mouth, the gig is up.
February 22nd in the FedEx Forum.
In my spare time, I infiltrate the Illuminati. Look for their secrets. Run back. Tell y'all.
Don't miss this year's most talked about comedy icon live. He's back with brand new material, an unmatched wit, and an electrifying performance. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. I'm in New York City. Ben Doyle back in Memphis inside the Built Ford Tough studio. Let's wrap this up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
Whole bunch of stuff, but we mostly focused on your Memphis Grizzlies after last night's, it was a rough one, inside Madison Square Garden. Knicks 143, Grizz 106. It's a beatdown in Midtown Manhattan. Got outscored by 10 in the third, by 19 in the fourth. Lost the game by 37, turned it over 26 times. On one hand, just one game. We talk about this all the time. If you go live and die with every NBA game, you're going to live and die a lot, right? A lot.
It's a tough existence.
It's a tough existence.
I like to live I like to live and die with every fifth game. 5-game sample size.
There's actually there's a sensible approach there. Like I will live and die. Because sometimes when you say things like, you can't live and die with every game, it's like, well, why is GP telling us not to care deeply about every game? I want you to care deeply. I'm just saying you can't let your emotions go here. I mean, you can, but that's, something you probably need to get medicated for.
And make no mistake, I wanted to come on here and have a reasonable discussion today about the state of the Memphis Grizzlies. But while I was sitting there watching that game last night, I wanted to gouge my eyes out and, bust a bottle over my head. So, there's levels to this.
There's levels to it, but I think what you're saying is a little more sensible. Like I'm gonna care about everything, but I'm only gonna live or die every 7-game stretch, right? Something like that. And hey, you want to look at the Grizzlies' most recent 7-game stretch? Can I tell you what it includes?
What?
A 6-1 record. A 6-1 record.
That's right. They did win 6 in a row before last night.
Feels a little different when you think about 7-game stretches, huh?
They're 6-1 over the last 7.
Clip that. The Grizzlies are 6-1 in their last 7. That's all I know. All I know is that the Grizzlies are 6-1 in their last 7. That's all I know. Problem is, that's not all I know. I know more. I know more than that. And 26 turnovers last night was a problem. It is continued to be a problem. And the Grizzlies have not been as great against great teams as they've been against the bad teams. And I know that probably goes without saying, but the point is this. They have shown they can beat bad teams consistently. That's how they've gotten to 31 wins. They haven't been anywhere close as to consistent, anywhere close to as consistently successful against the better teams in the NBA. And last night, we talked about it yesterday. People will nitpick your 6-game winning streak when this team's missing that player and this team's not good, and it comes against what theirs came against. They all count the same, but they don't all mean as much when it comes to the way people view your team and the quality of it and where they think it can go. And one of the knocks on the Grizzlies, this is why some people think they still need to do a deal before the trade deadline, is, okay, congrats on beating the Pelicans and the Jazz. But if you really want to take this thing somewhere, eventually you got to beat Oklahoma City. Eventually you got to beat the Rockets. Eventually you got to beat, let's take it all the way to the other side, the Knicks or the Cavs or the Celtics or somebody like that. Have they shown they can do that? Yes. Yes. Have they consistently shown it? No. No. Anybody can show it every once in a while. That's the nature of the NBA. Can you consistently show it? That's a question people have about the Grizzlies. And if you had that question going into last night's game, there is nothing you saw last night that makes you back off that question at all. It was a rough performance in every way. Yes, just one game, but a really bad game on a stage that we were all looking forward to seeing them on. Flush it, look forward. In 2 nights, the Rockets will be in town, and that'll be an even bigger game on an even bigger stage. It won't be at Madison Square Garden, but it will be at FedEx Forum and on TNT. And depending on what happens with the Rockets tonight in Atlanta, the Grizzlies could be playing on Thursday night for an opportunity to leap them in the standings and be sitting on Friday morning alone in second in the Western Conference. So, big week ahead. Last night, didn't get it off to a great start.
What's today's biggest game?
I'll do some college basketball with you, Bennett.
All right.
6 o'clock tip. It's on ESPN. Number 12, Kentucky at number 8, Tennessee. We're doing it at the Food City Center. Used to be Thompson Bowling, but got to get every penny you can. So now it's Food City Center. Tennessee minus 10.5. Totals 145.5. The Vols laying 10.5 points against Mark Pope's Kentucky Wildcats. You know what that says to me? Big bet Bennett? That says to me the computers/betting markets don't believe in Kentucky as much as us humans believe in Kentucky.
Well, they've lost 2 in a row and 3 out of 5. You know, I'm going to take Kentucky, though. I do. I mean, I think they're a good team. I think they're struggling right now. I think they'll probably lose tonight at Food Center?
It's the Food City Center.
Food City Center. I think they'll probably lose tonight at the Food City Center, but I think it'll be a closer game than 11 points.
Yeah, 10.5 is the number, big number. I'm with you. Like, I would, if I were playing this game, I would take the points just because I think Kentucky's good, and if you give me a good team with 10.5 points, I'm probably going to lean toward going that direction most times. Tennessee has been blowing people out in Knoxville, like one after another.
Yeah,
blowout.
Noticed.
Blowout. They're tough in that building. We'll see. Tip at 6 o'clock. You can watch it on ESPN.
What are we watching on TV?
Can I interest you in Saturday Night? Have you watched Saturday Night yet?
Is this the SNL movie?
Yeah, it came out last October.
Yep.
Got good reviews. Was recently added to Netflix. Is now sitting in the top 10. You haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched it, no. Is this about like the first cast of SNL, like when it all started? Okay. Yep. So like you got like Belushi and
Chase,
Gilda and that whole crew. Okay.
Chevy Chase is there. I started, just like every other movie I ever bring up to you, I started it fell asleep.
Okay.
But it's important. I know some people might be thinking, GP, why are you always starting stuff and then just going straight to sleep? Because I don't start anything until I'm ready to like call it a night, until I'm like, all right, night's over. And then then my body shuts down. I just go to sleep, right? But at least I get started. At least I got started, you know? It's like if you got to fill out 50 pages of documents. All right, I didn't get all 50 done, but I got 4 done. I'm made a little progress. Now I'll pick up with page 5. So I made some progress on Saturday night. I've downloaded it. It's sitting in my phone right now, and I'm going to get to it before the end of the week. I don't know when exactly, but it's got good reviews at Rotten Tomatoes, 78% from critics, 84% from the audience. It's got one thing I love about a movie these days.
What?
Less than 2 hours. Hour 49. I want to get America, as long as we're trying to take America back to places, I wouldn't mind taking it back to a place where you could watch a great movie in under 2 hours. I wouldn't mind that.
I like a little bit of both. I don't mind a saga.
I don't mind a saga either, but Bennett, it's a little bit like a podcast. I mean this for real. I'll look at a podcast, and if it says 45 minutes, I'll say, oh, man, I can knock that out.
Mm-hmm.
I can knock that out, no problem. If it says 3 hours, I just go, I can't do this. There was a wrestling podcast I was going to listen to the other day, just like on my flight, and it was like 3 hours and 15, something like that. I was like, if I listen to a wrestling podcast for 3 hours and 15 minutes, I'll kill myself. I can't possibly ever complain about being busy again if I listen to a 3-hour wrestling podcast. It's just a long time. Yeah. It's a long time. So I like something under 2 hours. And Saturday night, 1 hour, 49 minutes.
Where is it again?
Netflix. Right now, it's in the top 10, baby. You'll find it, no problem. You watch it, I'll watch it, and we'll talk about it someday.
What's the best thing we've read?
Well, I don't know if it's the best thing, but it's connected to the best game I saw last night. Got back here at my hotel after the game, took the walk back up 8th Ave, and settled in the hotel. I was like, okay, I'll turn on Iowa State, Arizona, watch the end of this. Caleb Love hit a shot from beyond half court at the buzzer to force overtime, then banged home 2 threes in overtime and led Arizona to a win over Iowa State. Iowa State still top 5 in my top 25 and 1, but that was the craziest Caleb Love game in all the crazy Caleb Love games. This guy's been an erratic player his whole college career. Like, highs are high. Took Carolina to a championship game, was the Pac-12 Player of the Year last season. Lows are low. He'll throw up a 2 of 17 out of nowhere. Last night, he was 1 of 10 from 3 and then made a shot from beyond half court to force overtime, then banged home 2 threes in overtime, outscored Iowa State by himself in the extra period. Wrote about that. Iowa State still 5th in the top 25 and 1. Arizona just on the outside. You can find it CBS.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's Wednesday. I think I'll be catching up with Chris Vernon. I saw some people in the chat. Vernon and I were both inside the Garden last night.
Yep.
Never saw him.
Damn.
We texted, and it was like I was doing my thing, and he was doing his thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big believer in you got to disrupt your plans just to see somebody that you see every day anyway. Like, I'd have loved to have seen him, and of course Elena. But I was way over here, and he was way over there, and I was just like, I'll see you soon enough. So we never saw each other, but we were both in attendance for that miserable outing from the Grizzlies. I think I'll talk to him about it tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be celebrating a Hawks victory over the Rockets so we can tighten these standings up a little bit.
Let's do it.
I can't wait. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. Meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.